Welcome to a Clued In bonus episode. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Brooke, and we both love mystery.
Hi, Brooke.
Hi, Sarah. We're popping in for a little special bonus episode while we're on our summer recording break.
I'm really looking forward to chatting with you about Young Sherlock, the series that is on Prime and I believe directed by Guy Ritchie.
Yes. For anyone who hasn't seen it yet, the synopsis of this particular series is a 19-year-old Sherlock Holmes finds himself entangled in a murder at Oxford that jeopardizes his freedom. His first case, tackled recklessly, leads him to uncover a far reaching conspiracy that alters his path forever.
So, Brooke, I know that you and I have both had an opportunity to watch all of the episodes. I think there's 8 of them. So it's, not too long, but I thought it was really good. What did you think?
I did too. I had one of those experiences where once I started watching them, I just wanted to keep going and kind of binge it. But I spread it out over, I think, about a week and a half.
Yeah, we spread it out. I think it took us a little bit longer to watch it. And I think it was probably a week after I'd finished watching it that I said to you, I was like, I think we really need to talk about this because I am still thinking about it.
Yes, yes. Um, so I wanted to also say, even if you're not someone who is planning to watch the series, I want to encourage everyone to watch the opening credits because they are so beautiful. They're very, visually stunning and really sets that scene for that Victorian era that this is set in. And I just thought it was fantastic. I can watch it over and over. It has kind of a steampunk feel to it, but I think it is a really great way to get the flavor of the way Guy Ritchie takes this on.
I agree. Yeah, that opening sequence is theatrical,
Mhm.
which makes sense because so is Guy Ritchie.
That's right. That's right.
So, Brooke, I think you and I will try and avoid spoilers, but we are going to talk about the series and the episodes with probably a little bit of detail. So, someone who hasn't watched it, this is your warning, and we do strongly encourage you to go and do that first. You mentioned that it's Sherlock. He's 19. He's at Oxford. We very early meet his brother Mycroft, who anyone who's read any of the Sherlock Holmes stories should be familiar with. And we also meet James Moriarty.
Yes. Yes. So we are obviously talking about an origin story in this series, not only of Sherlock, but also of Moriarty. Um, what did you think about the way that they presented the relationship between Sherlock and Moriarty?
I really liked it. It was almost sad to watch because they are very playful with each other. They work really well together. They're not adversaries in this
Mhm.
show. They're friends and they're working together. And knowing what happens in the stories that were written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, there is some fracture in that relationship. And it's sad because it just starts off so well.
Yes, yes, I completely agree. I thought this was a really wonderful choice. We've seen plenty of versions where they're lifelong enemies. They're two people who always have hated one another. But you're right. This adds this like impending doom layer. And it raises this question of like, when does it go south? And we start to see little bits and pieces along the way. But even now, at the end of this first season, they're still partners in a sense, and things are still good.
Yeah, exactly. So the 8 episodes end with a question. And certainly there are little hints, as you said, little hints along the way that their relationship is not going to remain as strong as it is that that we see in this first set of episodes, but they do end this series as friends. We also see some other characters in the Holmes family, which are now these are creations of the
Right.
people behind this, right? In the stories, in the original stories, it's only ever Mycroft and Sherlock. There's no mention of any other siblings or their parents. And um, there is this story of his sister that's woven through these episodes.
Yes, and I thought it was really well done, even though, as you said, it's not part of the original canon. I thought it was really believable and lends itself to seeing what inspires Sherlock to become Sherlock or a
Hmm, hmm.
detective, right? He has this very strong impetus to want to solve mysteries. And so that worked really well for me. Um, Maybe that's all I had to say. That worked really well for me.
Yeah, same here. And I think, as you say, I just think that this whole series is so clever in the way that it just drops these breadcrumbs that we know where it's going, right?
Mhm.
But it just really, imagines what happened in his life to make him into this character that he is. So we see the things that we're familiar with, right? This extraordinarily intelligent, well-read character, both him and Mycroft and Moriarty as well. They are all very, very intelligent and curious, and uh, they all play really well together.
Yes.
And there's not the tension that comes later in their lives, that tension between, well, I guess there is a tension between the brothers, but it's a more playful tension.
Right. Kind of the older brother, younger brother, the more straight laced, the more, living on the fringes. And that doesn't seem as, as serious as kind of where it goes down the line. One thing I really noticed though, and I'm wondering if you did too, Sarah, was there was this shift in tone about halfway through the season. The first few episodes, it's very fast editing. This is a very Guy Ritchie feel. Fast editing, fast camera flashes, modern music, a lot of fight scenes. And the other thing that I loved that we had a lot of in the first part of the series was these visual deductions. Like we get to see like Sherlock's brain working, and on
Mhm,
screen we would
mhm.
see how he put everything together because we see what's going on in his head. We don't get that so much in the second half of the episodes. Did you notice that too? There was kind of a change.
Yeah, I did notice that, and when I look at the episode list, Guy Ritchie directed the first 2 episodes, and so I think that's why there's that difference. The next 3 episodes were directed by, another person, and then the final episodes, uh, by 2 other directors. The remaining 3 episodes, there were 2 other directors who did that. And so I wonder if that is part of it, but I do feel like just the story itself shifted at that
Yes.
halfway point.
You're right. Like a big storyline got wrapped up, and we see Sherlock kind of getting his feet under him
Mhm.
as an investigator. So I think that part of that made sense, but it really did feel differently. And I think what you've just said is the explanation. Different directors. So that's really interesting. The series is billed as being inspired by Andrew Lane's Young Sherlock Holmes novels. But after reading, I went out and read the descriptions of the books, and really, it doesn't seem to follow those plots very closely at all. This feels much more like a brand new Sherlock Holmes origin story. So I thought it was interesting that that's even kind of drawn in, but maybe somebody who has read those novels could, inform us of where the connection is because there has been that parallel drawn there.
Oh, that's really interesting, Brooke. I haven't read those books. Sometimes uh, adaptations of Sherlock Holmes stories or interpretations of his stories can feel, I don't know, I don't know what the right word is, but this felt authentic.
Mhm.
I could never be mistaken for being a true Sherlockian. But based on the stories and books that I've read from the canon, this did feel real to me. Like it fit in there. Where I think maybe that's what it is that some of the others don't quite feel like they fit.
Mhm. Right. We've read different books or seen different shows where, for instance, Sherlock has children, or he has these, his life has gone on past the original books in the canon, and some of those can feel a little off. But I agree with what you say. This feels like I could buy this. I could understand that this is really the way he grew up.
Well, Brooke, you will be pleased to hear that there is a second season and the filming is underway. So hopefully, we won't have to wait too long before we get some more of these stories.
That is great news because there are some unanswered questions, like you mentioned, and I'm really looking forward to the next case with this group of characters. Well, thank you for joining us, everyone, for this special bonus episode. Until next time, I'm Brooke.
And I'm Sarah, and we both love mystery. Clued in Mystery is written and produced by Brooke Peterson and Sarah M. Stephen. Music is by Shane Ivers. If you liked what you heard, please consider telling a friend, leaving a review, or subscribing with your favorite podcast listening app. Visit our website to sign up for our newsletter, The Clued In Chronicle, and get mystery news, podcast updates, and bonus episodes. We're on social media at Clued In Mystery.